Hello, everybody. I know it's a little unusual, but welcome to This Week in Indies. No intro, but we are live from the Multverse Convention 2024 in the Studio 42 area where they're doing live streaming this time at Multiverse. So it's really nice, and I have two distinguished gentlemen with me. One of my good fair weather co-hosts. We get to be on the same show for once, as you know. Pretty much equals at this with that.
Yep, I'm SM Hillman or Sean Hillman, and I'm happy to be here at Multiverse doing this stream. Absolutely, but also,
hey, it's been. I haven't been on the show in a couple months. I feel
you were on like 2 weeks ago, dude.
Time is a flat circle. But I'm Bob Magoo. I'm an author, podcaster, and indie game designer, for those who don't know me. And I think this is my third consecutive year doing this exact episode. So
you were also my companion for Jordan Con too.
Yeah, and Jordan Con. Yeah.
Hello, Anita. Nice to see you.
Hey, Anita.
Yeah, it's been really good, huh? I mean, this is a new space. This is a new space, but the entire thing's a new space, and it's been spread out pretty well. I think the thing that for me has been the best is the late night stuff. I think the late night stuff has been really, really managed well this year. I think it was spaced out pretty good. I mean, I did have to walk all the way to the sci-fi room back to this room for the Monster Mashing and the sex technology panel, which I thought was excellent. And I didn't want to leave it, but I had to go back to the Monster Mash to compete in the audience versus the players portion of it. But it's been really great. I think that's been and seeing new faces and see people that we love and know very well come and join us this year has been great. Hopefully one of them will show up after her panel. It's been I think that's been the highlight. How about for you guys?
For me, it's the panels have been the highlight.
Mm-hmm.
This is the multiverse where I've done the most panels. And the crowds have all been great. Like, everyone's been very interactive. Haven't had to pull questions from the crowd, but all the moderators have been great, except for maybe me. I was a moderator on two of them. So, but just had a lot of fun. And this is, I've done two today already. And this is my last bit of fun. And then it's back to the minds of the author table. But but really, the panels have all been just a ton of fun. I've gotten to do a lot of panels with folks. I have done panels at other cons and really enjoy doing them. Mm-hmm. Folks like Tyra Burton. Mm-hmm. Like, anytime I can panel with her, I just love that so much. And so, but then also there have been some new folks. Two different panels I paneled with folks. It's like, oh wait, you're from Alabama?
Yeah,
I'm also from Alabama. And I was like, what?
I actually paneled with an Alabama author first, and then I introduced them at karaoke, and Ashley Chappell, and it was
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think for me, a couple things. One, there's a lot less stress in this venue than the previous venue. No offense, previous venue, but everybody is dying apparently. But a lot of the old timers, Multiverses, this is my 6th year for Multiverse, seem to be a little bit more chill and better headspace than they have been. But I think the venue is a little bit labyrinthine.
Only right here.
Yeah.
Like, the rest of it's actually really well. Like, everything's super convenient.
Yes. Yeah.
And everything on because we're staying on the same level as the hotel. I haven't had to touch an elevator all weekend.
Right.
Oh my god. All I can dream of.
It's a nice looking venue too. It's a lot. It's really comfortable. There are places to go. Not like you can't walk to. I mean, yes, you could walk to them, but a quick drive.
In this heat?
No, yeah. A quick drive, and you're plenty of places to eat and buy things and stuff like that. So that's good. And I think too, the crowd has been good. Like in panels, the crowd has been very interactive. I know also there are people in the game room gaming all day, really.
Yeah, you have had a really good turnout there.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I'm no longer a Waffle House version, by the way, everybody. I went to my first Waffle House.
And we didn't even get thrown out.
Yeah.
But to be fair, we went in the day.
Yeah.
Next year, BarCon will turn into, let's go do like a 2:00 Waffle House run.
That's
We
good.
need to get the real Waffle House experience.
Yeah. That's what everybody's been saying. Oh, Harkness was like, I didn't even know they were open during the day. Jenna. Hi, Tiffany. We miss you. I hope you come next year. But yeah, it's been, there's been some challenges as far as the space goes, but I think for the most part, and the crowds and everything, but I think for the most part, we've warmed to it. I think there was a little like tippy toeing going on at the beginning, and now it's kind of full stride. A lot of people getting their stride.
Yes, agreed. There was a little bit of that at the beginning because we were still getting used to the new space. It's one thing to see the space and then to fill it, and then to fill it with people. Those are 3 stages, right?
Right.
And I will say that one of the things I like about the area where a lot of the headquarters is and everything like that, the crowds funneling through there give a nice sense of the number of people who are here.
Yeah.
And we're being joined by
Miss Julia Rose.
Hey everyone! You can see me over here.
We'll scooch.
Yeah, we gotta get a little comfy here.
Yeah,
Everybody. Let me see.
Hey,
there we go.
There you go. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, we were just talking about the space and the new space and how people have been adjusting and everything. How's it been for you? What's been good about this con for you so far?
I like the new space because it's really like more cozy and welcoming. I felt like I just felt like everything was a little more connected than say it was last year. I just love this con because I think I was talking to Joe earlier. Like to me, this is so much about connection with other people, getting to finally meet those faces we see on the screen every day, and getting to know everybody a little bit better. So it's been a really good con for me.
Nice. Yeah.
No, I agree. That is one of the things about Multiverse is really great.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something about?
Oh no, I was just going to say that like this is for me, and this year especially, it's been, and I don't know what specifically changed in that regard, because this has always been like I always tell everyone, this is the best networking con you can do. Dragon Con might have more opportunities to network, but those are going to be fleeting. You're not going to get to talk to anyone at length. We're all ships in the night running around like chickens with their head cut off. Here, you actually get to sit down, have a conversation, and build actual relationships. And this year, I actually got to have like some really long conversations with folks that I've been trying to have long conversations with for a dozen cons now. And actually get to just sit for an hour and a half, have a few drinks and just catch up. And that's been really great this year. So.
Yeah. I mean, the nighttime activities, like I was saying, has been my favorite part. And it's like it's nice to have a space, feel like you're not cramped in it. You don't feel like you're invading somebody's space either. Right. Here, it's been really, the lobby is vastly improvement over the previous hotel as well as the bar as well. I haven't sat at the bar actually at all this weekend.
So if you're not a writer listening to this or watching this at some point, you should understand that the bar is very important to us. Even those who aren't drinkers, the bar itself is a very important social construct within the writing communities.
And here, the way it's structured, the bar and the lobby are essentially the same space. So if you don't want to be around drinking, you can absolutely just be sitting in the lobby and still be in that BarCon atmosphere. And to me, this was the funniest thing. I know that this hotel probably had some trepidation about a bunch of nerds coming in, and like hotels talk, and they're probably thinking, "What about Dragon Con? That's so wild and crazy." And every night we have had a bunch of nerds hanging out in the bar, drinking rather heavily, and as far as I'm aware, we've caused no trouble, and I have not heard a single no nerd has broken a beer bottle or dropped a glass or anything. Last night there was a wedding party also in the hotel.
Yes, it was.
and while I was sitting there, in the span of about 30, 45 minutes, they dropped 2 glasses and broke 2 beer bottles within like the space the size of this room.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, we're not the problem. It's like, oh, good, we're not the problem. They're the problem. That poor bartender, you just, every time it happened, I was like, it ain't us. We're the good kids.
So I'll talk a little bit about the staff who have been very curious about us, who've been very like, hey, can we, come down and take a look at what we're doing? Yeah. But also, so for those who don't know, the Georgia Renaissance Festival is held around here. So they're probably used to a little bit some of the Ren Fair folks, or here as well. So they probably have some familiarity with third culture prior to us getting here.
Yeah.
Plus, like Bob has mentioned, there's a games workshop. I know for like nobody probably listening is curious, but there's a games workshop store here in the city.
Like half. You keep acting like this is the backwoods.
I know. It's not.
It's like, oh my God, this is kind of remote. And like, to me, this is like a bustling metropolis,
Right.
where I'm from.
Right.
And I love, but that's part of the appeal of Multiverse. You get people of so many diverse, like, for me, it's like, this is like, oh my God, there's a Publix here. Like my town, like multiple, like my town just got a Publix, and like, that was like, we're big time now,
right,
And so the town where I'm from doesn't even have a grocery store. And so, but then you get these different viewpoints where someone's like, man, this is kind of remote. I was like, this ain't remote. There's a Publix.
Yeah, right.
There's a Warhammer store next to the Publix.
Yes, there's a Warhammer store here. So,
and so that's been fun to riff on you about all weekend.
How's managing the room been for you? For people who don't know, Sean manages the play track at Multiverse.
So it's been difficult. It's been a little bit difficult at times. Thanks, he's in the back here, but Jason, one of my assistant directors, who's been doing great, helping with the game hall, but also was just on a panel. We'll be on another panel a little bit later. Dr. Rawwich, who's also my ID, who has been very helpful with minding the room and things like that. And both of them are going to be more involved next year, I hope, in doing the actual panels. But having 2 rooms is a little bit of a challenge, right? Because right now, the 3 of us are all very busy, right? And so it's gotten to the point where I think I realized that we probably need a few dedicated volunteers who are going to help us out as well.
At least somebody sit in the game room,
right?
Because I think at the old hotel they were together. The rooms were together, right?
They were. It was a much different situation. It was much easier to go from one room to the other, and you didn't need to mind the room quite as much. So game hall by itself is a 2-person operation. One person sort of encouraging people to do the gaming, and the other person doing so. Because not only do we do the game stuff in there, but the con game runs out of the gaming hall. So we're with that. There's the dice. Excuse me. Determine that how many dice are in a jar game, and that comes out. So right.
It gives me an opportunity to talk about the setup a little bit, because I do think putting the gaming room in front has benefited you, because it's the first room that you walk by when you're walking through this. And I'm curious from you guys' perspective, how when the traffic tramples through the hallways, because you're both in the hallway area, how has that been? Is that something that you've been able to take advantage of a little bit?
I think she's gonna be able to speak to this much better than me, because I've just been in so many panels. I've only been at my table over the weekend, probably about, other than Friday, about 2 hours all weekend. So
yeah, I think it definitely matters where you're set up. I'm set up on the hallway going to the panels, so we haven't seen as much foot traffic at our table, simply because people are on their way to panels. Like, they're focused on a time. But when I've gone through the other hall to go to the dealer's room, I definitely see a lot more foot traffic. So I think it just depends on where you're set up. like I said, we're getting a lot of people going by us because of the panels, but they're
Yeah.
not necessarily stopping because everybody's on that schedule. They need to get somewhere at that time. So
I'm curious at the closing ceremonies how much they're going to talk about this, but I believe probably the biggest topic of conversation is what are we going to do with the author's alley and how we're going to set it up better, because it seemed like there was not a real set plan for it, and then putting it all together the way they did, it was almost kind of like last minute kind of idea, because again, and it's difficult because you don't know the space, you first time you're here, and you have a vision for it. I'm sure they all had a vision for it, and then when you set it up, it's so different, right? And walking through it.
Right. No, I think that's true. It seems to me that there, and of course it's all what the venue will allow, but like they could have made better use of the hallway where from the game room to where the con ops and everything is. They could have made use of that as well, I think, with one or two tables that would have sort of highlighted things a little more. I don't know if it was a case of necessarily of because I wasn't there for registration. So maybe the registration line would have been longer, but that also benefits the authors, right? You're standing in line with your badge and you're looking over. It's like, oh, there's a paranormal romance, or there's a vampire, or there's a spaceship. Yeah, that kind of thing.
And I know that's not the focus of this con. It's not the purpose of Multiverse, but it is an element of it. Right?
Well, and the authors can speak to. Well, I mean, I know I'm an author, but I don't sell here. Can speak to this a little bit better. But it's we rely on these folks right here a lot, and so one of the benefits of Multiverse is also allowing them to sell. And we want to encourage that, right? We want to encourage people to spend money on our authors because that's worth it to them to be here, right?
Well, yeah, because it costs. I mean, it costs to be here, and I'm lucky that I live. I drove home last night. So because I didn't want to pay for a hotel, but I mean to cut costs. But I mean, a lot of authors are flying in from long distances. They're putting a lot of money into this, so I think there is that balance of understanding that they do want to sell. They do want to get new readership. So making it worthwhile too is important.
And I think it also depends on where you're at in your author journey. So, like for me, this is not my full-time job. I want it to be, but I'm not there yet, right?
Right.
And I'm lucky that I'm in a position where if I have a bad event, it's not going to ruin things for me.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of good events this year. I've built up the war chest a little bit and I'm at a point in my career where I absolutely want to sell books. But if I only sell 2 books this weekend, but I make that one fan who ends up buying all my books and recommending me to their book club, and then someone at this point, I'm building a brand.
Yeah.
I'm trying to become a known entity that folks want to, oh, he's got something out. Oh, let me go check that out. And so for me, if I was selling or not, I'm going to be here. Like, this is my favorite con to come hang out. I call it my con family reunion convention, because it's all the folks that don't get to spend enough time with at Con Carolinas or Jordan Con or whatnot. Here I get to hang out with them. So for me, it's less about the sales. And that's why I was okay with doing so many panels.
Yeah.
And I was able to share a room with you, which brought my cost down. And so for me, if you were to, close this and race down to Peachtree City and come buy some books, we wouldn't be upset. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm fortunate. Like, I'll acknowledge my privilege here. If I don't make my cost back at this event, it's not the end of the world for me.
Yeah.
But there are people that's very much the case. This is their full-time job. And if this is a bad event for them, that really hurts.
Yeah.
So, and you just never know.
I agree. And I think there is value in the networking. And I think that's something that, you have to recognize. And it's hard. There's different wins other than monetary. Sometimes those wins are making those connections. I mean, I've met Sean, I met you, Joe, and I had met online, but we got to meet in person last year for the first time here. And now I'm part of the Go Indie Network. So like, these are things that you do have to look at the value outside of monetary, even so. And I know, yes, it costs, and that's, I have to balance that too. That's why I didn't stay in a hotel. You have to really look at that, that when you're trying to sell books, you're selling them in a lot more ways than just one, So,
Yeah. And like I recently have started having audiobooks. My second audiobook just came out. And honestly, right now, I would rather them not buy a book from me and go get the audiobook and leave a review, because that's what I'm really trying to grow right now. I need audiobook reviews. It's like, if they're just like, oh, you have an audiobook version of that? Yes, please go forth. Give me no money here. Go give it straight to Amazon on Audible. And I'll actually be much happier, because I want to get my Audible growth,
Words I never thought I'd hear Bob utter. I'd be happy if you went to Amazon and give them money.
I have to be exclusive to them because of the deal I have with my my narrator.
Yeah.
So it's a great deal. I'm very happy. I just wish I didn't have to be exclusive to Amazon. So, love my narrator.
All right. So what's been our favorite panels? Either that you did or saw. What did you enjoyed?
Well, I was on two that I really liked. The first one that I was on was a social justice kind of, using technology for social justice, which is hugely my passion. I actually bought a book from one of the authors there just because talking to him and having those conversations was huge. And then yesterday afternoon, I did an appropriation versus appreciation panel that we could have gone for hours. It was just such a good panel and opened up really honest conversation about that. So what I love about the panels here is they're not just kind of those flat kind of generic, let's talk about horror panel. It gets into the nitty gritty, and that's been really awesome.
I've been a moderator and a panelist. So my favorite one that I moderated was the budgeting for your author career. Mm-hmm. I've done a lot of workshops where talking about just, all aspects of this, but I've never done one where it's specifically okay, let's talk about where can you go cheap on stuff? Where, hey people, where do you spend most of your money? Spoiler, everyone said editing, because that's where all your money, money's going to go. To get the book out, and then it all goes to marketing. And so, but it was neat. And I really enjoyed that. There were some fantastic panelists on there, and it was one to where I had a bunch of questions, but I, used a couple to get us started, but then it kind of just organically went from there. It's oh, hey, that was really great. Can we dive in? Someone's talking about organizing their book tours. It's I don't do book tours because I do conventions. That to me is my book tour. And I was let's dive into that. People who want to do book tours, how do you organize them? How do you find your places? And folks seem to really, really appreciate that. And one reason I really love Multiverse and this guy is I really love RPG content. That's my oldest passion, I guess you could say. And it's something I really want to do a lot more content on. And Multiverse, because of Sean, is where I do the most of my gaming panels. And I love that. And Sean's oh, you want to talk about one-sheet RPGs? Let's do it. Yeah. Let's go, And so getting to talk about one-sheet RPGs for an hour, we could have just been hey, guys, we're not going to ask questions. We're just going to tell you all the one-sheets we like for the rest of the day.
For the rest of the day. Oh, for sure.
What was your favorite panel, Sean?
So I think probably I was in the room for the one sheet. And that was really good. The Tuck Tingle was
so good.
Was so good, right? We got to use that word.
You guys got to extend that though, because the hour and a half just does not do it.
Yeah, 90 minutes was not enough for.
I think it would be enough if you had less inept players.
No, the players were great. Players were great.
No, we had fun, and I like to think that we were all funny on there.
Yeah,
but we were not the most
goal focused
right, yeah. Of players.
But that's okay. That they left content on the table literally for next year. So
I just want to quickly shout you out. He wrote this amazing intro to the session that was a riff on the opening to The Gunslinger by Stephen King, but tingleized it. And it was so good. It was so good. It set a tone.
It did. It certainly did. The man from Idaho fled across the waste and the Buccaneers followed. So yeah, I'm definitely proud of that. Can't figure out how I'm gonna top that next year. But last night I did one on, it was so brace yourselves. It's Tech for Pleasure.
Mhm.
It was an 18 plus. It was a late night, and it got a little naughty. But it mostly we actually delved into. It began with one of the panelists opening a conversation about accessibility for folks with disabilities or the other abled. I think is probably a better way to say it. And because almost everyone, wants to enjoy sex. And from there, we got into some really deep, dark topics about how technology can be abused and how it's not accessible for folks. Some of this technology is great, but it's very expensive, like, and medical insurance doesn't cover all of it. And then another panelist was mentioning how there are alternative devices that can help you that are actually more affordable. But then we got into how the end users treat their equipment, with studies showing that sex robots often come back damaged, broken, bashed, beat up, because their users, mostly men, treat this inanimate object without any kind of empathy or compassion, right? And it's not just I left my sex robot out in the rain, right? I forgot. I'm a bit of a doofus.
But who hasn't?
Who hasn't? Right? Yeah. But actively abusing these equipment and the mindset and what that speaks to, and of course the dissociative nature of, there's this piece of technology which is creating a barrier between what human intimacy, right? But there were also some positive things where we talked about how those obviously other abled are able to engage in pleasurable sex with these devices, but also long distance relationships, right? You can engage in shenanigans with your partner 3,000, 5,000, thanks to the interwebs. So that's probably my favorite so far. I moderated that one, and it was a privilege to do so because we had a lot of very passionate panelists. And opinions.
Very good panel. I actually jumped in there for about 20 minutes in between the Monster Mash, and I missed a little bit of the Monster Mash to support my friends, because I had a lot of friends on that panel, and I was happily surprised by what it was. I thought it was going to be a little bit goofy and raunchy, and which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it was actually very, very thoughtful, very educational, very, very well oriented in terms of how the conversation was going. I found it very intellectually stimulating.
And it was one of those panels where the panelists got raw about their own issues, their own intimacy, and it's that you don't find that on a lot of. I mean, I don't know about Dragon Con, but I would not want to sit in front of 300 people at Dragon Con and talk about vibrators.
No. No.
Yeah, so I pulled it up on my thing to get the right, but you did it for me, so I didn't have to do that. But yeah, that was I had two really great experiences here. First, I got to panel with Darren Kennedy for the first time ever, which was fucking awesome. I had never done that before, and it was awesome.
We should have recruited Darren to come in here. He's fantastic too.
And so that was great. He moderated a panel about critiquing that I was on, and it was also nice to not moderate for once. I'm obviously, because of what I do and how I do it, I'm a natural fit for the moderator role, and I'm very, very grateful and very humbled that people would want me on their panels to do that, and I will do it every time that I'm asked to do it. But it was also nice to be an opinion for once, right?
Yeah,
because as a moderator, you kind of hold your tongue. You kind of don't. I interject every once in a while, but it's not about me. It's about the people that I am trying to get the information from on the panel, and that's how I approach moderating always. And so. And I let the panelists talk as long as they want to talk, because that's what they're there for. That's what they wanted to do. So I don't interject in that respect. I mean, every once in a while I'll say something, but I had a really, really good moderating sessions this time around. I've done 4, I believe, moderating this time around. But I had so we have a new track at Multiverse called the Adventure Track, and it's with these young children. It's for kids of the parents who are attending Multiverse, or just kids. Maybe the parents just bringing their kids. I don't know. But I think most of them are attendees of Multiverse as well. But it was a panel on the critical learning and the differences between the types of learning that you're doing now. And I really, that wasn't the highlight for me though. So everybody's heard this story. I've been telling it all weekend.
It's a good story though.
So when I was in the panel, so there's this thing that they do at Multiverse called the con game. It's this little pamphlet where people, it's like a scavenger hunt. People go and have to do certain tasks, and then they get the person that they're doing the task with, or whatever orientation of whatever they're doing. Somebody signs it, and I am one of the side quests in Multiverse, which is you have to come up to me and say it's always time to go indie now, and then I sign it, right? So I told a 10-year-old kid who was sitting on the table I was sitting at about that, because they were talking about the con game. I said I am a side quest, and they're the only people I told I will not reveal to anybody else that I am. Bob tried to get people to.
If he's in the crowd and I'm on the panel, I'm like, hey, there's a side quest right there.
And I told him, I'm not telling you what it is. You have to figure it out. But I did tell this young man where it was and how to do it, and he did it. And then next thing I know, I got a little tug on the side of my shirt, and this adorable 4-year-old girl in a princess dress comes up to me and goes, it's always time to go indie now. And then she holds out her thing and goes, can I have your autograph? And that melted me.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was just a fantastic moment. And that happened on Friday. So I've been gleaming all weekend.
Yes, he has.
So it was awesome. That was a really great moment.
So I forgot to mention, we got to do live yesterday. Zero Means You're Dead for an hour, and we're going to be doing that again, honestly, because I think, sure, obviously it's a little bit self-promotional, right? I love to, we get to do that every year.
But if they're going to let you do it,
right? Yes, they're going to let me do it.
Track.
Yeah, absolutely. And the best part was some of my favorite panelists, gaming-related folks, got to be on there and talk about indie gaming and a little bit, some of the issues that we go through, and we didn't get too deep into anything, but it was a fantastic hour spent, and I'm glad that we did it.
I was going to say, when you talked about the child, I did my first meet track panel, and if you don't know, Multiverse has this. It's the meet track, and it's hey, are you into this thing for this hour? We're going to bring in some folks who do this thing, and we're just going to sit around and get to know each other. And me and Joe and Tyra and a few others, it was the podcasting, digital media, YouTubing meet. And that family with the daughters,
they were there.
But so they had a lot of questions. It's kind of a big circle, and so folks kind of like glommed onto them, like, okay, let's help you. And then, but there was this one young woman, she real quiet, she was sitting, like me and Tyra were sitting there, and she was kind of like, well, I'm kind of trying to get like a Twitch stream, I'm trying to grow my Twitch stream.
Yeah.
And because she was a little shy about it. And so then me and Tyra basically spent like the next 45 minutes like, hey, here's some things you could try. Think about this, think about that. And that felt really good, to do some kind of like one-on-one. I do a lot of mentoring in the author space. I don't really do mentoring in the like digital media space. And that was kind of a new experience for me, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and on the flip side, I just actually did the film meet, and it was actually good because I'm going with no knowledge, and so it was really neat kind of just sit in there and hear people talk about their experiences and give advice on different things. So I like that a lot, that kind of format too, because it's a little more like interactive, especially if you're new at something. Like I was like, I'm really curious about film and writing for film and stuff like that, so I'll sit in on it, and it was just a really good experience to talk to people from kind of all different realms of that exposure.
There was a Go Indie regular, Nikki.
Yeah.
She came in there because she was like, I want to be on more podcasts. And, she's a very well-established, competent, knows her stuff, but she's like, no, this is an area that I want to be better at. And she came in there, hung out with us, and it was great.
Yeah. Should we just take a little break and do the Indie Connection and then come back and talk some more about
Sounds good.
Wonderful wonderful con that we're all experiencing. So here, everybody, you might recognize this if you've been watching our live feeds. This was one of the very first Indie Connections that was done at a Multiverse live feed. So enjoy.
Hey guys, Theo Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another Indie Connection. Today I'm going to be telling you about some indie books that you might enjoy if you're a fan of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. The first book I have for you is called Planet Fred by Jim Stein. She's lead botanist on a doomed interstellar mission. He's an alien mollusk with an attitude. So why does the jungle want them dead? Nancy's life is a race to discover new species, and an expedition to Planet Fred offers the perfect opportunity. Exploring the pristine world should be a dream come true, but when the jungle comes alive and slaughters the crew, the woman must decide between her love of flora and survival. With no weapons and little hope, Nancy turns to the only intelligent species on Fred. A 4-footed, wisecracking slug isn't the dashing companion she might hope for, but even slimy help is better than none. The pair's search for survivors is hampered by bizarre alien invaders hunting a mysterious substance. Ill-tempered plants plague the competing groups, and Nancy's expertise is in high demand. The prize in this contest of wits and firepower means a life of luxury for some, oppression for others. Something just doesn't add up until a gift from one of the alien races starts filling in blanks. Will Nancy follow her conscience, even if it leaves her stranded, or aid the group most likely to get her off this god-forsaken rock known as Planet Fred? The second book I have for you is called Used Aliens by M. Sid Kelly. Used Aliens is an adventure comedy about fakery, life across the cosmos, and good old-fashioned naughty behavior. When a sabotage flying saucer crashes into his fishing hole, Jimmy uncovers an alien plot to steal Earth, but he's only interested in having the stranded aliens guest star on his TV fishing show. When the thieving galactic politicians and our local almighty find out, Earth's fate depends on Jimmy being useful for a change. The third book I have for you is called Apocalypse How by Galen Serlac Ramsey. I never thought I'd have a bounty on my head the size of the Milky Way. Of course, I never thought I'd be able to bend time either. But hey, life is full of surprises. Don't get me wrong, feeling like a goddess has its perks, but those perks come with a hefty price. My brain is tapioca. I'm stranded in the middle of deep space. Ratters are using me for target practice, and a giant cybernetic monster named Oscar is trying to make me his chew toy. All this because I played superhero, or thief, according to some, and snatched a doomsday device from an intergalactic mobster. So if I don't make it out of here alive, remember this. Above all else, I want a Viking funeral. If you like action-packed sci-fi, fast-paced space operas, or simply think a snarky girl scouring the galaxy for precious artifacts with a gigantic intergalactic tiger at her side sounds like it could be a lot of fun, then this is the book for you. And the last book I have for you is called Deep Space Accountant by Majik Wood Akra. Could this be the worst job interview in the entire history of the universe? Possibly. So when Elton D. Philpotts lands his Dream Space Corps accountancy job, he just can't help wondering how it happened and why. Somebody in the Space Corps must need him, and they need him bad. But the work is dull, nothing like the glamour job he had expected. Until he sees things he should not have seen. A hidden ledger, dodgy accounting transactions, bogus gate receipts. And when a whole starship disappears, who are they going to blame? A frantic race across a sphere of influence takes Elton and his hapless band of followers into adventure and dangers none of them could ever have imagined. Okay, that's all for me this week. I'll see you next week on the Indie Connection. Bye.
Which we are. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Look, we've downgraded, but you know that's okay.
I've spoiled the room.
Mr. Nettles is joining us. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, Tim. Obviously, everybody else knows you.
What,
But
me?
Yeah.
Something. What? Yeah, Joe looks great in a hair bow, and I'm Jim Nettle, so I write a whole bunch of crap. Anybody need a book? Let me know. So yeah, I just write a whole bunch of stuff. Of course, we am one of the hosts and creators over at Continual. Of course, I come here, crash the party periodically, do a few other fun things too. So
we were talking about your panel last night, the one that I snuck into for about 20 minutes.
Adult content panel. Yes.
How did you enjoy that? Was that? I mean, it was. We were talking about it afterwards because we were in the bar and we were talking about it a little bit. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, well, I mean that was panels and panels ago. No, actually, last night I think because a lot of the time that's a very light panel.
Yeah,
it's a little risque. Okay, it's a lot risque. But it kind of went into a lot of areas that were here's the good side of it. This is where we see technology going that comes in and plays in adult fun. But we also then started going into really looking at what does consent mean? How are these technologies being used for good and bad? What are the risks? How are we seeing certain things go on? What happens when the hooker bots decide to take over the world? And so it was a really good panel. And so we kept trying to break the moderator. I have no idea who that would have been.
No idea who that was. Yeah.
What was your favorite panel that you've done this weekend?
Actually, I just had fun on the anti-heroes panel.
Yeah.
I would say the one we did last night was probably one of the more meaningful ones.
Yeah.
Right. I think we hit on some really critical topics, especially for some of the people that are here at Multi. Right. And I think that while it was not exactly what the audience expected, it was not what we, the panelists, expected to go down the path.
It was not what the moderator expected either.
But I am really disappointed in myself. I have not made Sean go bang his head on the table yet the entire weekend. And I've tried. I've had multiple opportunities.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because they were joking last night about how they made me leave the room, and then Jim was like, "Oh, we made Joe leave the room. Everybody, that's a con game side." So, yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, it was. I mean, how about the new space for you? How have you enjoyed that?
I think the space, the layout, and stuff has worked well.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get in. There's a lot more space to operate here. I think there's a lot more room to get in. It's not as packed. I think there's a lot of things we didn't necessarily take as much advantage of either. But I mean, we didn't have quite the packing crowd that we've had some years.
Yeah.
To go sit outside next to the pool.
Yeah.
And how much misbehavior. But again, my room did not have a heated balcony with
Joe rolled in as like Joe Compton and said, "Oh, sir, we will give you the heated balcony." And he's like, "Of course you will." And actually, it's more, "Why are you talking to me?"
My assistant will, but yes, my assistant should be checking me in. Why am I having to do this myself?
Yeah.
No,
exactly. Yeah, I was burdened with the opportunity to check in, but first it was a happy accident. Got on the first floor and
across the hall from me. I mean, the party's going on in their room. I mean, it was like, "Go Indy now!"
It was like, what was it, Friday night that we were just like, it's only 2.
Yeah.
Let's just have a quick beer on the balcony.
Yeah.
Let's go out on the veranda and survey.
And 3 hours later, we were going to bed.
Because it was pretty chilly out.
Oh my God!
And
here it comes.
And you know what they say: chilly today, hot tamale. It was pretty cold out, but having a little heat blowing up from below, it was like, okay, this makes it much more tolerable to sit on here and drink a beer.
Bob McGoo, everyone, he'll be here all weekend.
Yeah, that was like my thing where I was like, I can break him because the Tingleverse was just me just trying to see how many terrible puns I could work into it, and just
it was good. It's good.
A lot of puns, a lot of puns. So it was good.
We've been talking about the space in terms of the bar area too. It's very much more luxurious and a lot more ample to walk around. And I contend that the nighttime programming too has been really well managed here.
Yeah, I mean, looking at BarCon, right? The networking time, the time we all finally get to hang out and socialize and misbehave, get roped into singing karaoke and the things that happen.
He does a killer whiskey in the jar.
Whiskey in the jar made me sound better to everyone else. Let's just go with that. But I think there's a lot of things here for the venue that give a lot more room for crowds to get together and form their groups and people to get together and versus the old location. Loved getting outside, sitting around the little fire pits and stuff, and seeing the sun come up over the Queen and King Towers. More than once, but I just think there's a lot more room here for there's the good and the bad of it, right? Because it doesn't force everybody to get in and socialize together, but it also gives people the ability to break out and spend more quality time as much as anything else too.
I was going to say, I actually didn't really attend a lot of panels because I was on a lot of panels. But one panel that I did make a real point of going and doing was
Vanessa, everybody.
I can't stay, but I just wanted to come and say hi.
In case I don't see her.
Oh yes.
She has been a beast, just running, putting out fires all weekend. It's been amazing to watch.
Yeah, and it was really great to know she didn't know I was crashing, anti-heroes a few minutes ago. And she comes in and is like, "What the hell? Why did they let an anti-hero on the panel?"
Who messed up my panel, man? All right, gentlemen. Thank you, everybody, and don't forget, it's always time to go indie now.
Nice.
When
You'll all recognize that later.
That episode.
Thanks, Vanessa.
But one thing that I always want to do at cons is that I never get to do at the bigger cons because I don't do lines. I'm not egotistical. I just hate lines. And a lot of the cons, I want to go do the burlesque show. Like at Dragon Con, they do burlesque shows and stuff like that. But the lines, there's so many people that want to do it's impossible for me to get there because I want to be hanging out with folks. I don't want to spend 2 hours on my Saturday night waiting in line to go to the burlesque show. But
for
here,
15 minutes.
But here, I got to go, they did a D&D burlesque show, Crits and Bits was the name of it. And that was so fun. And one of the burlesque dancers was from Alabama. And she was like, "Hey, you should come sell books at my shows." And I was like, "I don't know how that will work, but we will talk."
You rolled a nat 1. You made everybody feel a little uncomfortable. And we just
but that was so cool. And that's part of it is I don't get to go to a lot of panels. So when I do, I have to be pretty selective. It's gotta be something okay, I don't have much time, but this is what I'm going to do. And I get to do the ones I really want to do because this isn't a con with 80,000 people,
right?
And that to me is the perk of the smaller cons. You can actually get to do everything you really want to do and not have to wait 2 hours in line to get to do it.
And you can actually get to meet people and hang out and spend a good time with folks.
Yeah.
And then, me, but,
the good, you take the good with the bad.
I know. He's over here rolling those nat 20s going, "You want me to sell my meth head wizard at strip shows? Burlesque shows? Sure, I can do that."
Yeah, my worry is now I have to go home to my wife and be like, "Hey, so met a burlesque dancer from Alabama and she wants me to come sell all her shows."
If she's
now.
not already watching.
Yeah. And so I was like, that's going to be a fun conversation.
But I had a swag idea here out of this opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm thinking possum-headed
Possum tassels.
Possum tassels.
Possum tassels.
Nice.
Yeah.
Possum pasties.
Nice.
Well, let me tell you, just a quick stupid aside. We do a ugly sweater contest for Christmas sometimes. And the year that I won, I cut a hole out and put googly eyes over my nipple, and I went as Saint Nicholas.
Oh, you're invoking the picture. We're about to bring up the picture.
Oh, God.
We were at dinner last night, and Bob has a little something hanging out.
Yeah.
All right, Bob. How much money you got before I show this off?
Do it. Show how classy I am.
I don't know if everybody can see.
We'll have to cut that into the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at dinner, and that I have one of these possum shirts that button just will not stay fast.
And the badge was perfectly off
Perfect
to the side.
perfectly out to the side. I'm just sprawled out at dinner, waiting on food, and just gut showing.
Look, we've all done it.
Yeah.
They ain't none of us over here that are skinny.
No.
The most surprising thing of Multiverse for me, by far, the most surprising thing was I saw Jim Nettles in jeans.
Yeah.
I know. Hell's frozen
I
over.
was like, he walked up like, "What the are you wearing? Get it together, Jim!" Like jeans, not Jim, not in a kilt. This isn't. No, I was uncomfortable.
I recognize
Aroused,
that.
but uncomfortable.
Well, it's that fur mask.
Yeah.
The
The jeans, they accentuate the cake, you know.
and the pie and the.
Do you have anything you want to talk about, Sean?
It's hard to follow up on that.
Right.
Oh, we've seen what you followed up on.
I know. So I didn't manage to kill Jim Friday night, and nor did Jim well, you killed like the NPCs, but we had another Friday night firefight that Jim was involved in.
I was, and again, they can't kill me.
Yeah. So
They didn't even wing me. No cool scars this time. No.
I think maybe next year we'll have a versus Friday night firefight versus edition.
So I think it needs to be a Friday night firefight versus in the Tingleverse.
Oh, maybe
There you go.
that's not a bad idea.
All the NPCs that we didn't get to.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Because there was a bunch of NPCs. You're like, well, there were more to kill, and I'm like, I got away with the whiskey. I got to hang out with the bartender. We killed the adult entertainer on stage wearing
Soviet era underwear.
Yeah.
So that was.
So yeah, we had fun. We had fun in the firefight.
You did.
I just didn't. There were more that needed killing. I sensed there were more that needed killing.
There was a lot more that needed killing. Yep. Again, something else that needs more than 90 minutes. No, I think that.
And I'm still waiting on my Guinness.
Oh yeah, I've got that up in the room. So yeah, I don't know. I think for me, it's going to be this first year is understanding the space better.
Yeah.
And learning too, where before, like last year, I could very quickly move from space to space and area to area and have things covered. I'm going to have to reevaluate the gaming altogether so that I have more time to do all the shenanigans that they're talking about. Because running 2 rooms is a lot. I'll say that. Yeah. But I
Especially
think-
if you don't have help.
Right. And I did have some help, even with some great help. It was a lot. But I think too that as far as Multiverse goes, I know that they're very happy with the space, and so I think that it's now. Whereas we were growing, the first 5 years we're growing just a brand. Now it's selling this space to people and selling what Multiverse provides to people to get them to come here.
Just don't count on the restaurant.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
no stuff.
And I'll say part of it is like, the crowd is smaller this year than last year, but that has to happen when you move spaces.
Yes, it does.
Like that. I threw an event. I threw my big art festival every year, and I had the same thing. I had moved this year, and my attendance literally was cut in half from 1,000 to 500.
Yeah.
Because I moved spaces. But there's and everyone I'm talking to, they're just headwinds right now. The election has people nervous.
It does.
And
The hurricanes.
The
storm.
hurricanes.
There's been a lot.
there's
of
been a
them.
lot. And I know that there are a lot of multiverse folks that do multiverse every year that they still don't have power,
Yeah.
or they're like, look, I can't do multiverse because I've got a house to fix,
Right.
So I'm just really excited to see, like I've seen this space with the crowd we have, and I'm excited to see next year when there's 100 more people,
Right.
and the year after that when there's 100 more, and like slow, steady growth is, I think, what makes for a successful con.
Great.
Not trying to do that like, let's do something gimmicky to get 1,000 people in the door and then they never come back.
Right.
I think this year is like it's a brand new car. you don't know all the gadgets, you don't know where everything is, you don't know the settings that you want on it, and so you're testing them out. And I think there's a lot of that going on this weekend. So.
Yeah. All right, kids, I got to go do a panel.
Bye, Jim.
Hi, everybody. Bye, everybody. Yeah, and for the gimmick for next year, Go Indy now is going to have Go Indy bows for everyone. Gold and black.
All right.
Oh, hey, Tina. I see Tina's on there. Hey, Tina.
Yeah. She said hello earlier. Yeah.
All right, we've outed you. Oh, thank you. Caress me gently again. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Bye, Mr. Nettles.
I've been thrown out of better places this weekend.
Yeah, I think wrapping it up too. I think I've been super impressed a lot this weekend, and obviously there was a lot of good things that happened, and a lot of growing pains I think are going to happen, right? So, but I didn't know what I was gonna walk into. Having seen this space before it became the space, I thought that it was probably going to be a little more overwhelming than it actually turned out to be. Mm-hmm. They utilized it very well. Yep. There's still some, I'm sure they would agree there is some adjustments that have to be made and some utilization of more space that they probably weren't counting on utilizing. And there is one particular room that I know Vanessa's very passionate about trying to get that to go. And I think that would change the dynamic of a lot of things as well, right? And then, figuring out where things go after that room gets set up to the proper way in which we need it to be set up to do stuff there, I think changes a little bit too. So I think we're probably about 3 or 4 years away from a comfort zone where this thing becomes familiar again, right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Maybe ideally 2 to 3, but no, I think 3 to 4. Right, we're starting over in a lot of ways, but we're starting from a position of strength.
Yeah,
it is an established convention, and it is an established convention here in Atlanta, the Atlanta area.
Yeah,
right, which is it's a place where people come, and so yeah.
And it seems like it's mythically already establishing itself in Peachtree City too, which is a really good thing as well, right? Because these people are very supportive of their local artists.
Yeah, right.
Which I learned, not being from the Atlanta area, that Peachtree City, there's like memes about the golf carts here. So I think the move is that y'all do a nerdy golf cart parade around the hotel next year. Get the community involved.
There we go. Yeah.
Hello, Heather. Nice to see you.
Hey, Heather.
Yeah. Is there something you would like to see that you didn't see this year in wrapping up?
I'm very happy with how everything's played out. I'm having thoughts on what I would like my role here to be in the future.
Mm-hmm. We talked about that.
Yeah, I may try and step back from selling and maybe see about maybe helping you out, and just, this is a con that I don't do this con for the money.
Right.
If y'all did not let me in as a guest next year, I would still be here, right. So this may be a con where I just keep it on my schedule and I shift into maybe more of a volunteer role or helping out on the gaming track or something like that. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think the con needs to necessarily change. I think I might be changing because I'm changing in how I want to interact with this con. So
that makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. You were always welcome on my track doing anything. So yeah.
Sean, do you have anything you're thinking about?
No, I have to give shout outs to Jesse, Allison, Vanessa, but also the people they've chosen to volunteer. I'm one of those people, but I'm not praising myself. I'm praising all the other people who do the hard work.
Yeah.
But so I think that Multiverse is the convention that the creators wanted it to be, right? Yeah. And it's growing to do that. And I think that if it's a little slow, if it's a little slower growth than perhaps maybe we wanted, it's still healthy, right? Yeah. This was a healthy move, if nothing else. This was a healthy move for us from a space that had a lot of that was not as accommodating that had, for some people, has some bad memories. And so now we're here to make good new memories, right? We're new memories here. And I think that the panelists, the other guests, like Bob and Joe, have been fantastic, right? So yeah, I think that we're heading in the right direction.
And I don't know if he'll see this, but I just want to give a quick shout out to Woodrow.
Yes, Woodrow. Yep.
First year as the sci-fi track director, and he hit the ground running like no other track director I've seen. He just went all in. And on like his problem was he set like they were like, you can do programming through these hours, but most people kind of stop their programming at like 6.
Yeah, because they don't want to compete with.
Yeah, and he was like,
no,
no, I'm going to have sci-fi programming. Like I've got great ideas, and they are. And like he just went all in on it, and I just shout out to him.
Yeah, agreed. Shout out to Woodrow because I get to moderate 2 of his panels, and they're fantastic. So I do sci-fi at JordanCon, and I'm absolutely blown away by how well he did this weekend.
Yeah,
important stuff, right? That I could go on and on. I won't. But when you're doing sci-fi, sci-fi is important. Right? So I'll just say that.
All right. On that note, I will say too, kudos to Jesse Allison and Vanessa and all the team, Holly, everybody involved with making this happen. Rob, everybody who is on the committee to make this a better place and a better con every time and every chance. And the thing about it, we're going to go into the closing ceremonies, and you would think that these are bitch festivals, but they're really like loving circles, and there is a lot of critical thinking and a lot of constructive feedback that comes from doing that, and I applaud them for standing there and doing that, because I think there is a lot of things that sometimes you don't want to hear, but you have to hear.
Yes.
And I think they do that better than anybody I know. And so I'm really super impressed by this organization and this con. Obviously, I'm a part of it, and it's been my absolute pleasure and blessing to be a part of it and to do what we've been doing. There will be a 3rd season of Spotlight on a Multiverse. I've already locked that down with Vanessa. So you'll be seeing more of these artists and talking to them.
And me, you'll see me again, whether you want to or not.
And we'll be back with brand new programming this week, and another This Week in Indies next Sunday. So everybody come and check us out. And why, guys?
It's always time to go indie now. Pew, 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 pew.
That's going to be part of it.